Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words. Today we're playing Premodern and we are playing a spicy deck I've just brewed up called Mono Green Control. Yep, that's right, Mono Green Control. The aim of this game is to control the board using Nevinyrral's Disc and Powder Keg. These are very powerful cards in the Premodern format and we see some decks leaning on these to be their sort of main control elements anyway. So we're trying to do that, and then we're trying to get card advantage by things like Wall of Blossoms, which can buy us a lot of time and it cantrips. We've got Thawing Glaciers, which can get out our 13 forests, which can do a good job of giving us some more card advantage. We have Krosan Tusker, which is like an instant speed divination, which sometimes is a massive guy instead. And we have Yavimaya Elder, which can basically draw us 3 cards if we get to sacrifice it. So that's how we're trying to get our card advantage in this particular deck, as well as our late game engine, which is Genesis. Once this is in the bin, we can just keep recurring Ravenous Baloths, or we can just keep getting back the Tusker or the Yavimaya Elder. You've seen this sort of stuff before in this format. Ravenous Baloth is a great way of stabilizing the game. It can block a lot of creatures. It can gain us life to make sure we're not getting killed by burn decks as well. This seems like a really good mid-rangey option to keep us in some games. Then we've got Beast Attack, which might be one you're not familiar with. It's 5 mana, create a 4/4 Beast token, but it is an instant. So this is going to be a 5 mana removal spell quite often. And then it can also beat down after that. And if we ever get to flash it back, that's just quite a lot of power out of one card. This card seems pretty strong, and it's going to be big enough to tangle with opposing elephants from Call of the Herd. Other things we need to talk about. The mana base, we've got ourselves 8 man lands, so these can really hold the fort. So Mishra's Factory is arguably the defining card of Premodern, so just having this to block can really make a huge difference, as well as it being a Wink edition. We've got some Treetop Villages to beat down, and I've gone for Wastelands. You could play Dust Bowl in this spot instead, but I've gone for 4 Wastelands. You could probably do a 2 and 2 split, or a 1 and 3 split, or even a 4 and a 1 split by cutting down on the forest. But I think you need to have some basic land destruction, and that's what we're going for. We have a couple of bits of graveyard hate in the form of Phyrexian Furnace. And we have Scavenger Folk. Now, this is a card you might be asking, why is this in your deck? What is this doing? Well, it does several important things that might not seem obvious. Firstly, this is a 1-drop that we can play that can block a Goblin Lackey or Jackal Pup. That is a perfectly fine trade for us to make, and I'm more than happy to do that for a 1-mana card. It can also blow up a turn 2 Phyrexian Dreadnought, which is another pretty important thing to be doing in this format. So this card is actually surprisingly good, and maybe we should even be running more of them. That's an interesting one that you might not have seen before. And the other card that I haven't touched on yet is Living Wish. This is our main Wink edition, so we can just go and get a creature or land. Obviously, we're only going to have creatures in our sideboard here. Maybe we could put in a Dust Bowl. Maybe we'll think about that for later if it's something we want to be reaching for. But anyway, we can Living Wish for various Wink conditions and answers to what our opponent's doing. So we have another Genesis in there if we want to just set up our card advantage engine and get that going. That's a perfectly fine thing to do. We can play this into our own disc and pop the disc to put this into our graveyard if we want to. That's quite an interesting way of enabling it. We've got some nice hate cards. So we've got the Uktabi Orangutan to blow up artifacts like Phyrexian Dreadnought or whatever. We have Nantuko Vigilante, which can blow up enchantments as well as artifacts. We have Spore Frog. So if we have this with a Genesis in the yard, we can just pay 3 mana and fog every single turn, and that is really good against some decks and can just keep us in the game for a long time. We have Cartographer, which we can then go and get back our Wastelands or our Manlands. This can also just keep looping with the Genesis if it keeps dying. So if we're playing against a deck that doesn't have white removal, this can do some blocking duty, get back a Manland or a Wasteland, and just keep that running over and over again, which is pretty interesting. We have Silvos Rogue Elemental. So this is a 6 mana 8/5 trample. That's pretty big, and it has Regenerate, so we can play this whilst we have our Nevinyrral's Disc, and the Nevinyrral's Disc can pop, and it won't kill our Silvos because we can regenerate it. So it's just a nice threat to have whilst we're actually controlling the board with the disc, and this is a card I have a lot of nostalgia for. It's a really sweet one. We also have Kamahl, Fist of the Krosa. Now this is doing several things. The first one is, yeah, we can play this and do a nice big attack and win the game. The other thing it's doing is we can pay green to turn a land into a 1/1 creature. It doesn't say whose land. So if we have a Powder Keg on 0, or even just a Nev's Disc, we can pay a bunch of mana, turn all of their lands into 1/1 creatures, and then pop the keg or the disc, because these don't say non-land. This says creatures or artifacts. It says artifacts, creatures, enchantments. So it will blow up all of their lands. So we've kind of got our own one-sided Armageddon that we can reach for with this Kamahl in certain situations. And I think that's going to be interesting. Is that too cute? Maybe. But if we can pull it off, it's going to be real sweet. We've also got a Masticore, which is another board control element that we can bring in and ping off little creatures. It also regenerates, so it can live through a Nevinyrral's Disc. And we have a Bottle Gnome, so if we're against a burn matchup, we can just go turn 2, Living Wish, turn 3, Bottle Gnomes. Now this isn't just going to win us the game on the spot, but it's going to be a good roadblock against their 2-1 creatures, and the 3 life we can gain off it is pretty big. And again, this is another thing that we can start looping with a Genesis in the sort of mid to late game. The other thing in the sideboard, we've got a couple of Wing Snare that we're boarding in when we are against some flying creatures. We're going to be pretty good at going up the ground with like Wall of Blossoms, Baloth, Beast Attack. So I'm not really worried about ground creatures, but having some removal for flyers makes a lot of sense, like Exalted Angel, Eternal Dragon, that sort of thing. So that's what the Wing Snare is for. And we also have some sweepers for creature decks if we're going to get run over. We don't have like early like 1-for-1 removal against goblins. That's why we're running the Scavenger Folk and stuff, so it can trade with those. But if we just need a little bit more hatred against like go wide strategies, the Hellstorm can get us up to the Nevinyrral's Disc, which is like not a thing that's going to be happening until turn 5 when it pops. So I think that's a useful one to have. And we've also got a couple of Naturalizes. So I think I've explained a lot of the tools we have here and how it's hopefully going to play out for us. There's a few things I'm concerned about looking at this is, do we need some lands that we can fetch with the Living Wish? Do we need to have more graveyard hate? Are these the right tutor targets we want for our Living Wish? That sort of thing is what I'm thinking about. Do we need more Scavenger Folk? Possibly. How about the Krosan Tusker Yavimaya Elder split? And is Beast Attack just a little too expensive for what it's trying to do here? I think our curve looks good though. We've got a good solid amount of 1-drops, including Enter the Battlefield tap lands. We've got a nice spread of 2-drops. We've got a decent chunk of 3-drops here as well as just Living Wishing for a 3-drop. So I think we're in a reasonably interesting spot here. And as far as I'm concerned, I've not seen anyone try and play Mono Green Control in Premodern, so at least we're charting new territory. And if you like seeing new territory charted, remember to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really does help me out. And I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers at the end of the year. Hopefully I can do that, but only with your help. Alright, let's get stuck into it with some Mono Green Control in Premodern. If you've been watching my content and thinking, I'd like to play some Legacy too, then check out 3for1 Trading, one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. They have weekly offers and upload new cards every Wednesday. And it's not just Legacy stuff they sell. They have a beautiful selection of vintage and old school cards too. Support from sponsors like 3for1 Trading make it possible for me to put out videos and help keep Legacy alive, so why not give them some love? Click their link in the description below and use my code COW3 to enjoy free worldwide shipping on your first order over €500. Okay, this is our first opener. It seems okay. A mountain. A Mog Fanatic. Okay. So Living Wish for Bottle Gnomes is looking like something we want to be doing at some point. Maybe that's a bit too slow though, because we do nothing on turn 2 if we do that. So we probably just want to go Powder Keg and try and work our way up towards this Ravenous Baloth, and then we can use the Living Wish later to pad our life total or blow up something like a Sulfuric Vortex. Attack with a Fanatic. Pyrostatic Pillar. What am I doing about Pyrostatic Pillar? I think we're just going to try and naturally draw our land drops and get this Ravenous Baloth in and see how much damage our opponent takes their own Pyrostatic Pillar. Second pillar. I'm going to attack first, I imagine. Or are we getting ball lightninged? A Sulfuric Vortex. Okay. Not great for our Ravenous Baloth plan. Yavimaya Elder. This guarantees our land drop at the cost of 2 life. It probably gets rid of their Mog Fanatic though. Let's do that. The games against Sly where they have Sulfuric Vortex versus the games they don't are quite a different beast. Seal of Fire. Taking some damages. They're going to immediately pop our Yavimaya Elder. They are. So we still get to draw 2 cards. They're both forests, but we actually actively want to draw 2 forests here. So I will take that. Gone for a different Onslaught basic land today. Not my usual forest, but I like these ones too. Right, we go to 13, then we go to 11, but then we get to play a 4-drop, which is going to block out what our opponent's damage is going to be towards us, and then maybe we can use their own Vortex and stuff to kill them. We're just going to play a 4-4 into a 4-4 over consecutive turns. Apart from Fire Blast, all of our opponent's spells will hurt them. Lightning Bolting the Baloth. Alright, that saves us some damages. So they're going to 10, so they're actually behind on the race at this point. We're about to play another thing that's not going to hurt us, that's going to be big. And if this one dies, we can then just get back the Baloth every turn. A Grim Lavamancer is a very good one to have here, because this represents quite a lot of damage on its own. A second Pyrostatic Pillar. You're putting yourself to 6 here. That's quite a low total. We just play the Genesis, and then next turn we attack with Treetop Villages and Genesis to kill our opponent. So we're at a functional 5 next turn from the Lavamancer and the Vortex. So they would need to have a Fire Blast here. Right, this puts us to 7. Let's get Treetop Village in. I think they're dead. They can block the Genesis, but they take any damage from the Treetop Village and they die. If they shoot us for 2 with the Lavamancer, if they cast 2 spells to kill us, they die. So they have to have Fire Blast. That's the only thing that can save them here. It needs to be Fire Blast plus something else as well. Fire Blast on its own isn't enough. If they cast 1 little spell, they die here. Because they're going to have 2 post-stack pillar triggers. Where are you putting this damage? My face? My face. You're about to take 3 for the village and die to the vortex in your upkeep. Fire Blasting us, sure. Puts us to 1. If you cast a spell, you die. And your Lavamancer is dead, so you don't have that damage coming through. Alright, we got them with their own vortex. Tighter than I would have liked. But the games against this deck are always going to be pretty tight. I would like to have access to some Naturalizes. And I think that's probably it. Like, there's arguments for playing a lot of these things. Like, just having the Masticore in the deck is pretty cool. The Spore Frog can save us a bunch of damage as well as just being a guy that trades. Maybe that's good enough, actually. The Beast Attack is very slow here, but it's pretty good around their big plays. So maybe we just need to trim a couple of wishes here. Maybe one of these Beast Attacks. That gets us to 60. Just gives us another 1-drop guy that we can play that can trade early doors. I think we still want the Bottle Gnomes as a tutor target. We could just play it in the main deck over this Beast Attack. Maybe the wishes is a little bit slow for what we're trying to do here. Alright, let's try that. This hand seems quite slow. So this is what, turn 1 Treetop Village, turn 2 no play. I don't think we can keep a hand that doesn't do anything in the first 2 turns of the game. Okay, keep this one. What are we doing with this Glaciers? I don't think we get to do Glaciers stuff. I think this is an interesting one. We can go Factory or Treetop Village. Factory's pretty good at slowing their roll here. See what we draw though. So obviously we want to be able to play these things. I think we are just playing out the Treetop Village. It does mean we're kind of not doing anything in the first 2 turns, which isn't really what I wanted. We do still have the Mishra's Factory, which can block something next turn. It's just not really what I want to be doing. It's just activating this as a 2-2. But maybe the threat of this will be enough. Definitely feels a little sketchy to activate that now. Wall of Blossoms. There we go. That's what I wanted to draw, and we drew it. Excellent. I'll play the Factory out now. Gets Wall of Blossoms. Perfect. Slows our opponent's roll a fair bit, and now we can just go Bottle Gnomes into potentially Ravenous Baloth. I'll block here. Take 1. Another Mog Fanatic. You got it. Looking very Powder Keggable, their opponent. I will just deploy the Bottle Gnomes so we can get the life gain. If they play a Sulfuric Vortex, we can just gain 3 life in response. A 1-3 against all these 1-1s is pretty good, as well as the fact that we can just cash it in for a little bit of life. If they play Ball Lightning, I will block with a Wall of Blossoms. I don't think our opponent's attacking here. Oh, they are attacking. This doesn't do anything. That's a very strange attack because we block here and here. They didn't even throw that at us. So they obviously want to deal some damage to the Bottle Gnomes. That can't be right. Right, they're pinging down the Wall of Blossoms. I'm spending a lot of resources on this. Sure. If we draw a land, we've got Baloth. If not, we can maybe Tusker or Yavimaya Elder. Got a land, so let's just play the Baloth. I think our opponent was going to be having a bad time now. And now we can just start attacking in with Ravenous Baloth and then playing the Yavimaya Elder to block with. We got man lands as well we can activate. A Jackal Pup. Sure. Another Grim Lavamancer. It's not what you want there, opponent. Treetop Village. Cycle this first and then Living Wish. What will we be Living Wishing for? A Masticore? That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Alright, let's cycle this. Go get a land out. I really like Krosan Tusker. Really sweet card. Then I will Living Wish here. I think it's the Masticore. I'm just going to check to see if I'm forgetting about something else on our sideboard once we open it up. Yeah, it's the Masticore, isn't it? We don't need to do anything this turn. They actually want to lose their Grim Lavamancers so they can start throwing damage with the other ones. You've got 7 life in the bank here. That's so much. A regular land would be interesting. Okay, there is a regular land. Let's play a Masticore. Let's go attacks with the Baloth now. I think we've got control of this game with our control deck. Yep, in comes the Lavamancer. We don't want to ping stuff down then when they can activate it with the mana they have now. We want it to cost them some of the mana here. A Curse Scroll, sure. That's very slow for this stage of the game. Tormod's Crypt, sure, that's good against our Genesis, but it's not really impacting the main thing we're doing here. I'm going to ping down with the Masticore now. If our opponent kills the Masticore with burn spells, I don't mind, because that burn spell is not going to our face. Probably just discard one of these Treetop Villages. We don't want to play into Price of Progress any more than we already have. If they burn a Fire Blast or like a Bolt plus a Lavamancer activation into this Masticore, I do not mind. Ping down the Mancer. Yep, you're going to shoot something for 2. Presumably me. I don't think that's going to be enough, opponent. We'll attack with both of these. We don't need to ping down this Jackal Pup. I think with the amount of life we have, I don't even care that much. Is that true? I'm just trying to work out if I want to discard this Treetop Village or not. I think we want to get the Yavimaya Elder in. That gives us 1 ping with a Masticore, which can hit something like a Ball Lightning. But we're on functionally 23 here. I'm not sure how our opponent is supposed to get out of this one. So we have lethal this turn. We may as well just have the lethal damage and crack in. Activate. Activate. Just push damage. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 damage. Well, you can block the Masticore. That's not going to help because you're still going to take 4 damage from it off the triggered ability. And they lose the game. And that was a pretty quick 2-0 for us there. Not bad. This is the first or second most played deck in the format right now. I think it's the second most. I think Landstill is the most played deck. So it's the second most played deck in the format, and we managed to crush it quite nicely there. Now, sometimes they're going to have some really strong draws that are going to beat us, but I think we've got the tools to beat this matchup. And if you need to beat this matchup, you can always add more stuff like Bottle Gnomes and Naturalizes and things. All right, on to round number 2. I don't want to keep a 1-lander even on the draw here. We do have a lot of lands in our deck, but I don't think it's responsible to keep a 1-lander. This is probably too many lands, but I think I will still keep it. We've got a Powder Keg to ease us into the game. If our opponent's playing something blisteringly fast, it could be a problem though. No 1-drop, that's good news for us. I'm going to play as Treetop Village, so I would like to play this Wall of Blossoms or Powder Keg on 2. And we don't get to do that if we play the Thawing Glaciers. Alright, we're cracking some fetches over there. We are in the green-white ballpark. Oath of Druids. I guess I'm not playing the Wall of Blossoms anymore. Nevinyrral's Disc. We just want to get Powder Keg up and running. No, I think we're just going to go for this Thawing Glaciers plan. If our opponent's got an Oath, that's how they're going to try and apply pressure. They've probably got that and some manlands, and we can cover the manlands with Powder Keg. Later on, we just want to start getting some card advantage going. We've got a lot of manlands, so we can probably just beat our opponent down with them. There's going to be Swords to Plowshares over there. Okay, Mishra's Factory. Our opponent's found their first threat. Obviously, Oath of Druids is kind of like a threat. A Sphere of Resistance. Sure, you got it. What land am I playing? Probably a Treetop Village here. If we put this back in our hand now, we won't have to go to discard, so I'm going to do that. You've got to be careful not to just go to discard with your Thawing Glaciers. So activating your opponent's turn is sometimes the correct thing to do. They're probably going to get in a piece of damage with Mishra's Factory, but we do have answers to Mishra's Factory. We've got ourselves the Powder Keg in hand, the Nevinyrral's Disc. We've got Wastelands in our list. Rishadan Port. Sure, you can just keep doing that. I'm more worried about Armageddon than anything else from our opponent here. In comes the Factory. So this turn we can get down the Glaciers and the Keg. We're not going to have to worry about Sarbo's Web from our opponent's deck. Actually, we're going to get ported here, so we're not going to be able to get down everything. We're probably just getting down the Keg this turn. I'm going to tap down my Treetop or my basic Forest. Alright. Powder Keg. This will slow our opponent's roll in terms of damage. We can tick up and deal with the Sphere, but I'm more worried about our opponent's manlands. Be curious to see what our opponent does this turn. This might be a turn where we attack with our Treetop Village. If they port us in the upkeep, then we can just... They're coming in with the Factory. Sure, I'll take out the Factory. If they port us down, they can't cast any spells. Just activate our Factory. Oh, sorry, not our Factory, our Treetop. Do I want another Treetop or do I want a Thawing Glaciers? Probably just another Treetop. And we're just getting the bits in. So they don't have the mana to cast anything through their own Sphere, so we can get a nice hit of damage in there. No, opponent, you've got a Sphere Resistance in play. Okay, our opponent 100% has a Swords to Plowshares, so they tapped and untapped this Brushland, forgetting about their own Sphere. If they port us this time, we can just drop the Nevinyrral's Disc, which can shred the Oath of Druids and maybe get us where we need to go. Winter's Grasp. You got it. Do we draw a land or not? We do draw a land. Okay, I'm just going to play this Nevinyrral's Disc then. We don't even need to pop it. We can just let it sit there for a while. Just leave a mana up to use it. Maybe 2 mana because they have the port. We'll see what our opponent does next turn. We could just build up to a turn where we pop the disc and just cast a beast attack and immediately get in for loads of damage. We know that they've got a Source to Plowshares though. Do I think they have a second Oath of Druids is the question. We know they've got a Source to Plowshares. A Krosan Tusker. Right, let's just play out this Thawing Glaciers. Am I willing to get this Source to Plowshares out of my opponent's hand? I don't think we need to. I think we can just chill out, cycle this Tusker. So instant speed, divination in green. What's not to love? And sometimes it just beats down for 6-2. It's just the best common in the entire of Onslaught. Could be. Real banger. Let's grab this forest. And we got a factory as well. Right, what are we doing here, opponent? Tapping down my... I'll use the mana to activate this other Treetop Village. I would like to deal with this Rishtan Port, but I think it's more important to deal with their man lands when they eventually arrive. So I think we just play out a factory here. And then we go to attacks. We're getting Source to Plowshare. We are indeed. I can crack this now. I don't think I'm going to. Keeping our mana up could be useful. This does expose us to a Wasteland on our Glaciers. But that would be a 2-for-1 in our favour. Because we'll get the land out of it in response. And if they want to Wasteland our Glaciers, that's actually a plus for us. Because we've got a bunch of stuff that I'd rather not get Wastelanded. Now they probably have more stuff like Winter's Grasp and Thermocast in their deck. So they can start land destructioning us a little bit more. But our deck is exceptionally good at pulling lands out. The power of mono green. A Terravore. The old Terravore, eh? Activate my Thawing Glaciers. Let's pop the disc. Take out 3 of their permanents. So our opponent kind of had to do something there. So we managed to get the Terravore out. So what I want to do here. I want to play a Ravenous Baloth. We can only play 1 Ravenous Baloth. We could go for a Baloth and a Treetop Village attack. So playing the Baloth out means if they just play another Oath of Druids, we can just sack the Baloth and it never triggers their Oath. And we get 1 attack in with the Baloth next turn. So we have 9 damage coming in next turn. Now they can obviously tap down one of our lands with the Rishtan Port. So they can reduce that to only 6. That is still a 2-turn clock. They're going to need to find something here. If they don't play an Oath this turn, okay, so they've got an Oath. So what we're going to do is we're going to get an attack in, then we can sacrifice this. Are you going to be tapping me down, opponent? They're probably using this brush land to do it, yeah. Alright, I will activate this factory. Just allows us to be mana efficient. Source to Plowshares on the factory. Still taking 4 here though, opponent. Then we play out this Wasteland. We Wasteland your Rishtan Port. We sacrifice this beast to gain some life. And then we can flash in a beast attack after the Oath trigger's gone. And attack with the Treetop Village and the beast for 7 damage for the lethal. Beast attack looking pretty interesting here. A Terravore. What is our plan about this Terravore? I don't know. Do I want to mill myself and get a creature? Most of my creatures kind of suck, to be honest. I think we're just going to flash in this beast. We can force 3 damage through with our Treetop Village here. But our opponent can't attack because we can just make another beast. Also, this is the art for a 3-3 beast in paper. Why is it 4-4? Scandalous. What do we want to do here? I think just holding up another beast attack flashback is really good here. Because then we just get through lethal damage next turn around this. So we attack with Village 4-4-4-4. They block the 4-4, they take 7 and they die. They play another Terravore here. Okay, Winter's Grasp. Losing this is definitely not an ideal situation. So now flashing in this beast doesn't really work. But our opponent can't attack. Maybe we can find another man land. Oh, and a Nevinyrral's Disc. Don't mind if I do. I'll play it as Thawing Glaciers. So our opponent probably attacks and gets in a little bit of damage here. But if they do that, then we just don't pop the disc and we attack them for 4. So they kind of don't get to do anything this turn. They might have Naturalizes, Disenchants, that sort of thing in their deck that can hit the Nevinyrral's Disc. It's going to be Naturalized more likely because they're green heavier than they are white. It feels like a Naturalize. Or Thermocast on the Thawing Glaciers. Alright, our opponent thinks this game is going to last a bit longer. Fair enough. But our opponent is just in a real bind here, because if they don't attack, we can then play the beast attack in our opponent's end step and go in. You can tap down one of my forests. Doesn't seem like a great use of your resources. Maybe this is to try and bait the Nevinyrral's disc activation. We're not going to fall for it, obviously. Do I want to play out this Phyrexian Furnace? Honestly, no. We don't want to be able to be ported off of our beast attack. It's been a sweet game, this one. Lots of interesting little interactions going on here and just trying to play around the Oath of Druids. A Thermocast targeting my Wasteland. Really? You'd like to target my Wasteland? I will hit your... Do I hit the port or do I hit the brushland? Has our opponent played a land yet this turn? They haven't. I'm going to hit the port. It's beast attack time. Alright, we managed to get through the Oath there. Oh, Nevinyrral's Disc. What a card. Okay, so Oath of Druids. They're also going to have Sylvan Library in there, so Naturalize feels like a good thing that we want to be reaching for. Having the Spore Frog combo against the Terrible deck is kind of interesting. This is a match where I'd like some more Graveyard Hate. Hailstorm not doing anything. Nantuko Vigilante, do we want that in the main, or do we just want that as a thing that we can draw, we can tutor for? I think we probably just want this as a tutor target. Same with the Spore Frog. What is getting cut here? Scavenger Folk is probably only killing maybe their Phyrexian Furnaces, which isn't really that big a deal. I guess it kills Mishra's Factory, which is not nothing. It kills Mox Diamonds, but then we actually have to play out this guy, which doesn't feel good. I don't really want to be playing out the Wall of Blossoms either. But I think it just is what it is here, isn't it? I guess we could trade a Wall of Blossoms for a Bottle Gnomes. That doesn't seem like a great trade. Alright, try like this. Yes, I like these tools. Let's hope they start off on like a triple Mox Diamond hand. They did not start off on a triple Mox Diamond hand. Am I willing to Furnace? I think I'm just going to get the Furnace in. There's an argument to hold the Furnace until we at least get to exile one thing, because they might just disenchant this. But if they disenchant it, it's not really the end of the world. A Sylvan Library. Well, I know where my Naturalize is getting pointed. Let's get rid of that. And either bottom card of their library, or their graveyard, sorry. We've got a Wasteland for the factory. Keep Terravor in check relatively well here. Right, you get in with a factory. Enjoy that, opponent. We could try and take our opponent off of white mana if that's the thing we're interested in doing, but I think it's just better to hit their threats. I will play this Wasteland and this Powder Keg. Go ahead, opponent. Powder Keg is quite likely to stay on 0, but if we put it on 3, we can just blow up Terravors with it. And then we don't have to care about Oath of Druids. But there could be situations where they blow this up in response to the Oath trigger, and then they end up with a massive Terravor if we've played into it that way. You're not getting stuck in. Let's take out this factory. I don't believe our opponent's running Armageddon because they've shown us... Oh, no, I clicked the wrong one. I meant to click the Powder... I meant to click the Phyrexian Furnace and I misclicked and hit the Powder Keg. Yikes. And because this doesn't target, if you just click it once, it immediately pops. That is a huge spew there. Okay. Let's get our factory in. I can't remember what I was talking about now. I was too busy waxing lyrical about something, and then I just misclicked. Alright, they've got themselves a Wasteland over there. Just going to crack it off right away. A Terravor. Would be nice if I still had this Powder Keg that would now be on like 2. So we just check Terravors with it. Oh well. Just treat it like we mulligan to 6, I suppose. That's the bottom card of my graveyard there. Do I hold up this? I think I do hold up this rather than play the Yavimaya Elder. I don't really care if my opponent deals us 2 damage. I'd rather guarantee getting the card from our Furnace if they try and blow up our Furnace. Windswept Teeth, sure. I think we missed the opportunity. No, we didn't miss the opportunity to hit one of the things because when we naturalized, we still activate our Furnace to hit their Sylvan Library. Okay, so we're going to hit for 3 this turn. It's not enough to make me crack the Furnace. Nevinyrral's Disc, that's always a nice one to have access to. We'll play the Elder out. Even if the Elder dies, it still draws us 2 cards. If they source to Plowshare it, then it trades 1 for 1 with a premium piece of removal. I don't even know if I would block here. Might just take the 2. Okay, we did trade a premium piece of removal. Our opponent can Wasteland themselves to grow the Terravore. They did not do that. Oh, they are the one with pressure, so I understand. Exile the bottom card of mine, please. So now they have a 1/1. So I can kill this if I want to. Or I could just play this Ravenous Baloth. I'm just going to play the Ravenous Baloth. I don't think we need to hold open this Phyrexian Furnace. We've got a second Furnace, so we can really grind through a graveyard quite quickly. Enlightened Tutor. Okay, there's probably some good options our opponent has available. A Sylvan Library. That's a good one. Played out a Brushland. I assume we just see the library here. They went to the trouble of tutoring it up. There it is. We're getting Thermocasted. Still leaves us with the biggest creature on the board. A Reprisal. I will gain 4 life. And our opponent can hit us for 1 to 3 damages depending on how frisky they want to get with their Wasteland. Wasteland can target itself, which is a thing some people don't know. But they can also just target their Brushland and get additional damages in. Alright, they are just getting the additional damages in. This is 3 damage, but we're at 19 because of the Baloth. I would like to draw a basic land. I will take this Nevinyrral's Disc though. Start eating through their graveyard. Let's just play the disc. Such a game changer just having Nevinyrral's Disc in your deck. It's like, okay, no matter how bad things get, there is a button I can press somewhere that gets me out of it. So we can take out the Terravore and the library next turn. We get to use a Furnace as well to strip out a land on the way out because we draw off of this. And then at some point, it's time for the beasts to attack. They kept 1 card off the library. Treetop Village. Sure. Winter's Grasp. You got it. 4 damages coming my way. Wasteland is a pretty good draw here. Let's exile the bottom card of your library there. Let's exile your Wasteland over there. I would like to crack the Nevinyrral's Disc, blowing up your library in Terravore. I will play this Wasteland out. Am I just going to get this Powder Keg in? Or would I like to start the Furnace action? I think we're going to start the Furnace action again. We've got quite a few lands to get through. Or quite a few cards to get through to get to all the lands, but because we have to do our own as well. Rishadan Port. Okay, Port is slightly annoying, but not the worst. Okay, let's just take out your Treetop Village. We'll eventually deal with that. It's probably going to be a Powder Keg turn. Does leave us exposed with this Furnace, because we might not have the mana to pop it if we don't draw a land here. But if all our opponent is doing is like naturalizing our Phyrexian Furnace, that's probably not the end of the world for us. Exile the bottom card there. Let's get Powder Keg in. Start ticking that up. Let's make sure we don't accidentally click on it. Our opponent's only got 8 minutes and 40 seconds on their clock compared to our 13, nearly 14 minutes. And we are up a game, if I remember rightly. This is only game 2. Right, looks like we're just going to get ported in the upkeep, maybe. Our opponent says they have a work meeting, so they had to leave. I think we are winning this game, though. We've got a bunch of resources in hand still. What's our next few draws going to be? Some Baloths. Like, we do need land. That's the one way we lose this game, is if our opponent like land destructs us a couple of times, we can't hit more lands. But I do think we're winning this game. And we're probably almost certainly winning the match with only 8 minutes left to play on our opponent's end of things. Alright, 2-0 with the mono green control deck. Undefeated. Let's go to round number 3. Okay, I'll keep this one. Scavenger Folk can be a little bit scary if our opponent is doing Oath of Druid things. But it's so good into so many matchups. Like anything that's trying to play 1-drop creatures. Savannah Lions, I'll trade this off for that. Or a Goblin Lackey. If they're trying to play a Phyrexian Dreadnought, I'll happily deal with that as well. Wasteland. I think I'm going to attack with this first. If our opponent's on Dreadnought, which is entirely possible, we can worry about that later. We can also do some Krosan Tuskering soon. Now they can stifle the activation of the Scavenger Folk, but that still means that they're spending more cards and more time before they even land a Dreadnought. Now they might not be Dreadnought, but it is the best deck in the format, and it is quite a popular deck still, although it has been declining in popularity, but winning at a higher rate, which is kind of funny. It's like, oh, the deck's too good, I don't want to play it anymore, is how some people might feel, I guess. Just get stuck in for 4 damages, I think. And accumulated knowledge, you got it. I am suspecting this is Dreadnought. They might surprise us, though. Scavenger Folk gets to do the thing I really wanted it to do. That's going to be sweet here. Like, it's a multifaceted card for our deck. It helps us against some early pressure decks sometimes. It deals with the Dreadnought. It can answer Mishra's Factories. And it also can deal with Silvos Web, which can be a bit scary when we've got 4 Wasteland, 4 Treetop Village, 4 Mishra's Factory, and 2 Thawing Glaciers. That's a lot of cards for it to get and keep locked down. So, Snap. Okay, our opponent is doing a different thing to what we thought. If they're playing Snap, they're probably playing, yeah, like a mono blue combo deck. This could be trickier for us to answer. Lotus Veil. I would love to Wasteland that one. Nevinyrral's Disc. What is the plan here? I think we want to play out the Scavenger Folk again. Perhaps Wasteland. I'm going to cast this Living Wish, holding up the Waste. Oh, all our spells cost 1 less, don't they? I forgot this is the symmetrical one. So we can go and get a Uktabi Orangutan right now. Okay, I think I could have played this turn better. We got a Wasteland if they start doing Lotus Veil stuff. Or Teferi's Isle is the other one that you see in these decks. Lotus Veil seems quite risky though. It's obviously very good when you start just untapping it a bunch. Missed a land drop for our opponent. That's very nice. Do I want to hold up the Scavenger Folk? I think I do. Attack with the Orangutan. So we can hold up the Scavenger Folk or we can hold up the Wasteland if we're playing the Baloth out. I think we do want to play the Baloth out. I think I'm going to hold up the Scavenger Folk here. Because they need a cost reducer to really get things going. It's either a cost reducer or a land that taps for multiple things. It feels super awkward to be doing the land that taps for multiple things when they missed land drops already. Right, they've got an island over there. If we have a 2-turn clock. I imagine this matchup is not very good for us. Just generally speaking. But that doesn't mean we can't win it. Activate this with one of these and one of these. Let's have a look at my sideboard. Is there anything here that is worth getting with our Living Wish here? I don't believe there is. Okay. We can cycle this Krosan Tusker at the end step if we don't need to do anything. I don't have anything like Choke or Tsunami to help in this matchup. Generally speaking, a lot of the blue decks are things like Gush decks. So you don't really get a chance to Tsunami them because they bounce all their lands out of play. Alright, that is not a land that taps for multiple manas. So they're probably going to need to get some sort of cost reducer in play here. Sapphire Medallion. We don't have priority until they put something else on the stack. I will immediately blow this up. Good old Scavenger Folk. What a card. What a great guy. So I'm going to untap some stuff here. But they don't have a cost reducer. Cloud of Fairies. Sure. So this is cost neutral. We just get to untap the lands. This is just a free storm. It's not generating the mana, which is what they really need. There's no High Tide legal in this format because that was Fallen Empires. Alright, we managed to get the win there. What does our sideboard have to offer for this matchup? Not a great deal. We have a couple of Naturalizes. That's something, I guess. None of this other stuff is remotely useful unless they've got some sort of pivot plan. Oh, I don't know if they do. If we're casting Living Wishes, we're probably just Living Wishing for the Orangutan. I think it's better to have this there as a thing we Living Wish for. The Furnaces are fine. They cantrip. I don't know if they have any graveyard stuff. They probably have Flash of Insight, which is just about worth it, I think. The Wall of Blossoms is the weakest card in our deck here. I could see cutting the Wall of Blossoms for the Orangutan, but this just gives us more copies of Orangutan in our deck, effectively. So I will keep it like this. Because we're quite a deep wish board, we're not really boarding that many cards at any time anyway. Wasteland is good. Powder Kegs are a little bit slow. I think we could do better. Okay, I'll keep this. What are we putting back? The Wall of Blossoms. We've already established it's not a great card in our deck. In this matchup, at least. Certainly look pretty good against the old aggro players. Alright, we just got a little island over there. I'm going to deploy your friend and mine, the Scavenger Folk. You got a nice cost reducer over there, opponent. They do indeed. They might have multiple. So now we have a really interesting decision. We can either deploy this Wasteland in case they have like a Lotus Veil and that's how they're going to be going off. Or we can play this Treetop Village and just start getting a little bit of early pressure in. Is it a case of trying to make sure our opponent can't go off? Or is it trying to not give them as much time? That is a really interesting decision to have to make. I think it might be the Treetop Village here. If they can go off this turn with one land... Okay. We were not punished for that. Intuition. We're getting some cost reducers. So this turn is probably Living Wish plus Wasteland. Go and get the Orangutan. And I will play out this Wasteland just to make sure we can nail one of these lands. If they play out like Teferi's Isle or whatever it is. Lotus Vale. We need our opponent to just play the Sapphire Medallion and pass. Now they don't need to play this out necessarily. They can just wait a few turns and then play it out the turn they're going off. And it makes it a lot harder for us to answer with an Uktabi Orangutan. But they must intuit that we have some number of Naturalizers in our deck. Might be able to answer this. Merchant Scroll. They're getting all their pieces together. A blue instant card, so it's probably going to be Frantic Search would be my guess. That card is pretty good. Generates mana, does a lot of things. Like with the Sapphire Medallion, it generates mana. And it can help them loot out some bad cards in their hand potentially. I don't know, we'll see. This mono blue combo deck is quite a low percentage of the meta right now. I think it's under 0.5%. So I don't think you want to have specific tools just for this matchup. But I believe our opponent has the tools to win this match. Certainly more than we do. A Brain Freeze. Okay. What do I want to do here? Is it play out Orangutan? Is it just bash them with a Treetop Village? It's probably just bash them with a village, isn't it? Not the quickest clock you've ever seen, but it's the one we've got. I don't think it's worth playing out the disc here at the cost of going down on the Wasteland. Because any sort of untapper plus Lotus Veil is such a huge jump in mana. Even more so if they have a Sapphire Medallion. Right, just passing it back to us. They didn't make a land drop. Let's activate this Treetop Village. Just get an attack in. Play another Treetop Village. Just an island and a pass from our opponent there. Okay. We got a 2-turn clock now. Is it time to go off, opponent? If you're going to have to discard down from 8 cards, maybe they're just going to fire one. One little go off. Alright, here it comes. Sapphire Medallion. We don't have an Naturalize. There is the Lotus Veil. We get to Wasteland this. They might have a Frantic Search to fire off in response here. Yeah, they do indeed. I think we're still right to go for it then. Just unfortunate it pans out that way for us. Frantic Search is card disadvantage, by the way. Just because you lose this card and you discard 2 cards after drawing 2 cards. So you're just down a card to loot. But it is going to get them some more mana here. Okay, they've got another Frantic Search over the top of the Wasteland still. Cloud of Fairies and Snap going away. Another one? No, they're just getting the mana. So now they should float 2 mana off these islands so the Cloud of Fairies has something to untap. They've got 3 cards in hand. One of them is a Brain Freeze. I don't know what the storm count is. The counter hasn't appeared yet, so it can't be that high. Medallion, Cloud of Fairies, Frantic Search, Frantic Search. So storm count is 4. They've got 10 mana to work with. Merchant Scroll, so storm count is now 5. We've got 48 cards in our library. Meditate. Alright, our opponent's drinking from the well. Let's see how this goes to them. Snap, bouncing the Cloud of Fairies. Storm count is 7. I think they should have it here. Merchant Scroll. Another Meditate. Sure. Alright, so they're up to 36 mil. Okay, they have 2 Brain Freezers now, so they can just Brain Freeze us out with both of these. I'm not going to let them see our deck. Okay, I feel like I want some more things that can just attack early on. So maybe we're just going to board out these Wall of Blossoms and just get things that have power and toughness in. Maybe we want this Spore Frog and Nantuko Vigilante. Seems fine. Even Cartographer can attack a little bit. Alright, our opponent navigated that one very well. I did say this matchup is going to be a tough one, but we're at least taking it to a game 3. This is our first game that we've lost so far. Only 1 land, we can't keep this one. Sure. It's not great, but it's what we're working with, I think. We're getting rid of here. We're probably going to draw another land at some point, I would imagine. Right, Treetop Village, go. Just try and get some pressure going, I think. As our best route forward. If you're really worried about this deck, you can play a couple of Gaia's Blessings in your sideboard. Even 1 is going to be good most of the time. I'm just going to Living Wish here. Go and get the Orangutan. This is kind of an awkward situation here. I would like to get this Scavenger Folk in, but I kind of just think we need to get pressure going. So I'm just going to play a 2-power guy. The next turn we can get the Scavenger Folk in, whilst actually starting to clock our opponent a little bit. Accumulate knowledge from our opponent. Alright, we can get the Furnace in next turn as well, and gobble up that AK. Island from our opponent. I think we do need to get the Scavenging Folk in. To attack for 2. Play this Furnace. Exile. They are accumulate knowledge. Intuition. It's going to be for 3 Sapphire Medallions again. Yep. Are they able to just kill us this turn? It's entirely possible. They've got to be trying to go off this turn. They wouldn't just... Okay, they're just bouncing our Scavenger Folk. Are they going to attempt to go off though? Certainly feels like they're giving it a go. Accumulated knowledge and a deep analysis. A merchant scroll with 2 mana up. Okay. Frantic search. So I'm going to untap a bunch of stuff here. Do I just take this deep analysis out? Do I mind if my opponent spends 3 life to draw 2 cards? Maybe not. I would rather they spent 2 life to draw 2 cards rather than have the accumulated knowledge. Storm count is 6. They got double Brain Freezes. Merchant Scroll. Brain Freeze and Brain Freeze. I haven't done the maths, but I think this is lethal. Alright, that's 27 cards. Pretty sure they have the second Brain Freeze for the rest. And the first one did 27, so this will do everything it needs to do. GG's opponents. I did say that matchup was going to be tough, but if you want to fix that, if we just have a Guy's Blessing in our deck, we just win that match straight up. So maybe it's worth 1 slot for that. Alright, on to round number 4. 1 lander. We've got so many lands in our deck. Okay, 2 lander. This will suffice. I think we put back the Beast Attack because it's the most expensive card in our hand. It's pretty cool though. We won a game because of Beast Attack. Keep this. Put away the Beast Attack. Let's hope our opponent's playing something that cares about Scavenger Folk. And hopefully they're not playing an Oath deck. A basic Plains. I don't really know what that means for us. Kind of wish I had a land I could grab with this Living Wish now. Right, let's Living Wish. What do we need to find here? White mana, but didn't play anything on turn 1. Probably a control style deck. They might have some sort of replenish type action in there that we're interested in hitting. I'm going to get the Vigilante. I think it's a good safe bet. It beats for damage on its own anyway. It's not embarrassing. It's something we can curve into if we want to get a threat next turn. Sarbo's Web. You got it, opponent. Not my favourite thing to see here. I don't want to use my Scavenger Folk on the Sarbo's Web if our opponent plays another one necessarily. 3 planes. Sarbo's Web. We'd play in some sort of like control list. Just like mono white control. Why can't I find any lands? Our deck's got nearly 30 of them. Yeah, we're a 27 land deck. That's quite a lot. We should be reliably hitting our 3rd mana. Okay, so they have an Eternal Dragon. They probably have Decree of Justice, so we leave this at 0, I think. Alright, we found a land. That is good. And just like that, all of our mana problems go away. Well, not all of them necessarily. We're only getting 1 land here. But it certainly helps. Let's just get some big beefy boys in. If they plough this, we sack it, because then we can get it back with a Genesis. I don't think our life total is that important here. I wonder if they buy back the dragon this turn. Disenchant. You got it. They didn't buy back the dragon. Exalted Angel. Sure. What do we have in our sideboard that can deal with an Exalted Angel? Not as much as I would like. What do I think is our best option here? We can fire this off, and if we find a land, it's good for us. But if we miss, it's real bad. I think we're in a bad spot that we're going to have to try and hit a land here. Needs to be a green land, to be honest. Just give us a basic forest. Alright, Living Wish. So the Masticore can eventually deal with this. Is that good enough? I don't think so. This is a lot of damage. Kamahl is an interesting one. Do you want a Spore Frog? I maybe want a Spore Frog. Maybe that's how we're going to have to get through this one. If we can find a Genesis and a Spore Frog, that's okay. This could at least buy us another turn to find a disc. We've got a lot of life to work with. But our opponent's got a grip full of cards over there. This is exactly the sort of reason that we're playing the... was it Wing Snare, I think it's called in the sideboard? What about second angel? Nevinyrral's disc. Do I want to play the Spore Frog? I don't think so. Let's hope they don't have a second disenchant. They probably only run 2 in their main deck. So the odds of them being able to hit this disc are low. Yep, you got a lot of life. Enjoy that, opponent. I'm happy for you. Pop the disc. Let's get Baloth in. Cycling the Decree. Making a few little guys. That's fine. They have so much life over there. Are they willing to just pressure here? They are. That's interesting. Maybe they've got another Decree. Try and get some damages in. Let's play the Keg. Renewed Faith. It's going to be a lot of life for us to get through, isn't it? Let's get rid of these. Temple of the False God. They're trying to cast big stuff. Have they got a Nev's disc? Just an Eternal Dragon. You got it. Which is not really a permanent solution to the problem we find ourselves in. Getting back the next Eternal Dragon for later. I like our opponent's deck. I've definitely mused with some mono white control decks myself. I assume they just come in here. Makes the most amount of sense. A Living Wish. Don't have a graveyard hate creature. We need to have 1 mana for this. We could activate both factories and get in for 8. If they just make a decree here for 2, we lose a factory. That's not so bad, is it? I'm just going to get in with the Treetop here. We can pop this in our opponent's combat step. Problem is, we know they've got another Eternal Dragon. We know they can get another one back next turn. So we really need to find our graveyard hate. This was one of the things I was concerned about, not having enough graveyard hate. Was this? Are we just doing a big decree here? Oh, okay. It's decree for angels. Living Wish. I think we go and get ourselves... I don't have anything like Silklash Spider, but we can go and get the Genesis here. And attempt something. Let's go for Water Blossoms. Phyrexian Furnace. Happy about that. Let's get the Spore Frog in so we don't die. We'll get the Furnace in. And we can start eating away at their stuff. The problem is we can't take out this Eternal Dragon. I think we should have played the Wall first instead of Living Wishing. So then we could have at least taken out that second dragon. Not that we particularly have a great answer for the first. Spore Frog. This is certainly a matchup where the Kamahl blowing up all their lands plan is on the table. I'm not sure we have an out here. A little bit too late there. This just gets us. I don't think we have any options. We can't get enough life. No, our opponent's got this one. I did identify that flying creatures might be a bit of an issue for us because we can really go out the ground. There's not many decks that have just a bunch of flying creatures. But our opponent certainly is one of them. I would like to have access to 2 Wing Snare, please. I don't think the Scavenger Folk look particularly useful here. We'll just replace it with Wing Snares. Is there a green creature that messes with graveyards? I don't think there is in the format. I would very much like one if there is one. I guess we keep this. Maybe we're supposed to just board out of the Wall of Blossoms for more threats. I don't know. Seems like we're in trouble in this sort of matchup. Oh, they've gone to 5 though. That gives us a window. We do need to find the 3rd land at some stage. 4 Powder Kegs is pretty good against all their tokens. Here is a basic forest and we'll pass a turn over. Get this man land that can attack into play first. And I think we're just going to Living Wish. Oh, sorry, to Wall of Blossoms. Just to draw a card and make sure that we're hitting our land drops moving forward. Yep, there we go. An Enlightened Tutor. A Sarbo's Web. Bit rude. Living Wish. Let's go and get our little friend, the orangutan. Goodbye, Sarbo's Web. You cycle that Renewed Faith there. Okay, Eternal Dragon. What about second web? Okay. I'm going to cycle this now because we could draw into a Phyrexian Furnace. Not a Phyrexian Furnace. Okay. Cycling another Renewed Faith. And another Plains. A Morph. I could just pop this on it immediately. Attack. I don't know if I want to cycle this Tusker because we're pretty close to just being able to play it. Right, you return that Eternal Dragon. Do I want to cycle this or not? Cantripping, drawing additional land. Alright, I'm going to cycle it. I've decided. I'm going to believe in the deck to deliver some other threats. Wall of Blossoms, the best threat. Let's draw another card. Phyrexian Furnace. Alright, let's start working out our opponent's graveyard. Well, we are clocking our opponent, just very slowly. Okay, looks like they didn't have the land to play the guy this turn. I will just fire off this furnace and take out that dragon straight away. Might dig us into some more pressure. Mishra's factory. Okay, Wall of Blossoms. I'm getting a little bit tired of seeing this many of you. Powder Keg. I guess we're going to attacks. I'll put us factory. We at least get one attack in with it, and I have to just take that. Is this a turn where we just play a Nevinyrral's Disc? Maybe, because it has to untap. So I think I'm okay playing this out. It's not something we can hold and then surprise our opponent with, because there's this little turn cycle before it unlocks. Right, it's getting disenchanted. Sure. I think the Powder Keg is better on 0 to blow up all of their angel tokens or soldier tokens. Doesn't look like our opponent has an Eternal Dragon. Decree of Justice. Are you making some friends? I'm okay trading this for these. Yeah, you should definitely trade their opponent. Right, Big Daddy Baloth. Play Forest. I would like to get my Mishra's Factory attack in when our opponent's tapped out if possible. Because you only get one shot to attack with it. Alright, they have a Swords of Plowshares, not a surprise given the nature of their deck. Let's gain 4 life. We're here for a long time, not a good time. Exalted Angel. That is a good one. Time to draw Wing Snare. Alright, I will just cast a big guy. So our opponent goes back to 20, and so do we. They're probably just going to chump block the guy, unless they've got ways of making a bunch of lads. Treetop Village, I guess that's going to... I'm going to play out this Powder Keg now, so we at least have options if our opponent cycles a decree. So we're going to be netting 2 damage a turn once it starts connecting, but we're not going to start connecting for another couple of turns. Maybe we're just going to unlock our lands, try and blow up the Sideways Web. We're nearly halfway through our deck, so statistically speaking, we're pretty close to finding a Wing Snare. So we need to race on putting this up. Living Wish. Oh, we just had the combo. We could have blown up all of their lands. Do I want a Masticore here? That will blow up their guy eventually. I get the Nantuko Vigilante and blow up this Sideways Web. I could just get Kamahl and just start making damages. How much mana do we have? 7, 8, 9, 10. So that would kill the Exalted Angel next turn. Alright, I'm willing to give it a go. Oh, we could have blown up all of our opponent's lands this turn. Or at least a lot of them. Although by the process of ticking up our Powder Keg, we made it so that we drew the Living Wish. Otherwise we would have just drawn a land, right? We just plow in my Masticore. We are indeed. We do actually have the superior clock here, but our opponent's got 5 cards in hand. I find it hard to believe they don't have more interaction. Because once we blow up the Sideways Web, we have quite a lot of damage coming in. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 through the Exalted Angel life gain. I will activate the factory. If we get blown up, we get blown up. In comes the Angel. What is in your opponent? What is in your hand, opponent? I don't know. Very hard to discern what's happening here. Is this Exalted Angel? It is an Exalted Angel. Okay. I'd like to untap my lands, please. Wing Snare. Okay. I think we can race this Angel. So we go activate this, activate this, activate this, snare this guy, crash him for a lot. It's more than half our opponent's life total. I'll leave this card in hand to keep our opponent guessing, I think. Buying back that dragon. I don't think that wins unless you have other stuff going on. Sideways Web. Yeah, that is the other stuff you needed to be going on with, wasn't it? Okay. Pretty good. Nudge Disc is probably useful here. Abeyance. Can I attack still? Oh, the Living Wish. That would have been an interesting one, wouldn't it? Yeah, if we hadn't ticked up our Powder Keg, I think we'd have won this game because we'd have blown up all of our opponent's lands. I'm sure we could win the game from that point. So they should attack us with this, and then they're going to play the Exalted Dragon. Eternal Dragon, sorry. Exalted Angel, Eternal Dragon. So what do we have that actually saves us here? I don't think there's anything... Oh, Spore Frog. Good old Spore Frog. Like, when we have to attack, they probably just trade off the dragon, to be honest. It's a free object, isn't it? Living Wish. Why isn't there a blue creature that kills flyers? We could get a Bottle Gnomes and gain 3 life. Or we could Spore Frog and gain effectively 4 life. Wasteland and pass. Enlightened Tutor. Phyrexian Furnace. Sure. I assume they returned their dragon. They did not return their dragon. Okay. So they want to be able to exile our Spore Frog so we can't loop them with a Genesis. But this means we still get a turn to draw a wing snare, and that might be okay. It's not good enough. GG, opponent. Yeah, I feel like that is a difficult matchup because they've got a bunch of flyers and we don't have enough graveyard hate. We need to have some sort of graveyard hate creature in. Alright. Didn't quite make that one. It's not a surprise that the mono white deck is good against the mono green deck though. That's kind of magic. Okay, after our good start, we're now 2-2, so the positive record is on the line in the final round. Okay, for the final round we got Furnace. We don't have a second land drop that we can rely on. But I think I'm okay to do this. This person is a real life friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. So they're a bit of a brewer, so it could be anything. Don't wasteland me, please. Not a wasteland. Let's just glaciers here. He's stifling. Okay, they're opting. So, as far as I know, our opponent likes to play a lot of the mono blue or blue white storm, which we've already discovered is not a great matchup for us. But it's such a niche deck, I don't think we're supposed to have tools for it, like extra tools. A Darker Wastes. It's going to be the Sunscape Familiar, is it? Sapphire Medallion. You got it. Powder Keg is probably too slow to matter here. We're supposed to just get a guy in and start beating down. I think that's what we're supposed to do. Kind of interesting hitting a like 0.3% of the meta deck twice in one league. It happens though, that's kind of the fun of Magic. You never really know what you're going to face until you get there. Accumulated knowledge. Okay. Swords to Plowshares. We don't get anything for our guy there. Border Blossoms, obviously terrible here. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. Let's get Powder Keg in and take this up to 2. Next turn we get the old Ravenous Baloth in, and that can actually start making headway into our opponent's life total. We haven't really done enough here. A board control deck is not going to be very good against a deck that's trying to play primarily spells. Sunscape Familiar. We going this turn? Cloud of Fairies. Sun taps 2 lands. Meditate. Alright, feels like our opponent wants to try and win the game this turn. Frantic Search. That's going to untap all of their lands. Another Meditate. You've got a lot of cards there. Cloud of Fairies. Cloud of Fairies again. Meditate again. Well, they're skipping a lot of turns if they don't kill us. But I don't think they're going to fizzle from this point. An Impulse. But by the fact they're playing the 2-colour build, it does give us more targets for our Wasteland, which is an important thing to note here. Okay, we're getting Brain Freezed. This is not a lethal Brain Freeze. That one will be, though. Okay. Maybe we're just supposed to put anything with power and toughness in our deck so we can attack our opponent. As wild as that may seem. How many creatures do we have here? Quite a few. Okay, Wall of Blossoms, you are bad. Get out of here. These things have text, that's fine. Nevinyrral's Disc is fine. 5 cards too many here. So this costs a bit too much. Like, what do we want our Living Wish? I guess we could just board out the Living Wishes entirely. We want these Naturalizers in as well, don't we? We still have to get rid of 3 things here. Which of these? I guess I'm not really... Like, Kamahl is fine. But not that exciting. That's 6 mana is so much. This is probably our big 6 mana hit. Do I want some Living Wishes in, though? Like, we can have Living Wish and maybe get, like, put the Cartographer. That's something I wouldn't mind tutoring for sometimes. And the Orangutan. That's still not really working out numbers-wise, is it? Is the Powder Keg too slow to tick up? Is the disc too slow? The disc is maybe too slow. We cut the discs and put the wishes in. That gets us these. And because we do still need 2 drops for our curve, so I think it is right to have the wishes in. We can keep this. Get this Furnace in. Let's get this Living Wish going. I think it's the Orangutan is the obvious choice here. My Wasteland is now a good draw. If I play out a cost-reducing artifact, we can hit it with the Orangutan, but they have the Sunscape Familiar, which doesn't get hit by the Orangutan, which is pretty annoying for us. I'm fine to get this guy in. If he gets Swords to Plowshares, so be it. Alright. Oh, I was supposed to exile straight away. Do you have a second AK here? They didn't, okay. A land is good here. In we come. Here comes the big boy. Cycling the Cloud of Fairies. Not leaving up white mana. That's interesting. Take this out now. So they're not ploughing us or anything here. Frantic Search. It is quite a frantic play at that point, because you're not getting the most out of it. A Flash of Insight. Oh, they put them in the wrong order there. Unless they're planning on firing off the Flash of Insight now. But we need everything we can get in this matchup to help us out, so I'll take it. I'm not too proud. Sapphire Medallion. We go in now. Teferi's Isle is worth a lot of mana here. Frantic Search, that's going to untap the Teferi's Isle and 2 other lands. That's going to make quite a lot of additional mana. An Impulse, Light of Hand. We're digging. Flash of Insight for 4. We've still got a Deep Analysis they can fire off for 1 mana. Brain Freeze, 8 times 3. Brain Freeze, 9 times 3. How good is my maths? 9 times 3 is 27. So we're looking at 40, 52 plus cards. That is going to be our whole library. GG's. So we sadly finished with a 2 and 3 record after a really good start here. That's not really what we wanted, but we did play against the Mono Blue Storm deck twice, which feels like a horrible matchup. And the Mono White Control matchup also feels horrible. These are all fringe decks below like 0.5%. So they're not things that I have to necessarily be planning the deck towards, but maybe having tools to help that would be nice. So let's talk about the list. Well, at one point while I was waiting for an opponent, I did a little Google search and I found this card. Nantuko Tracer. It's a 2 mana 2/1. When it enters, you may put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. This is some graveyard hate that we can Living Wish for. That's something to think about. I would have liked to have played against more of like the main meta decks, you know, like your Green-White Madness, your Landstill, things like Dreadnought and Goblins. That's kind of what I wanted to test this into. But that's not necessarily what you get when you sign up for a league. I think the general plan of this deck is pretty solid. I think the Living Wish was interesting. I think we definitely got a little bit lost in the sauce with some of the things we were including here. Maybe we didn't need to have as many things as we did here. But like, I was quite happy with the Living Wish. I just think our spread of things wasn't necessarily where I wanted to be. Like the Spore Frog to try and lock people out with the Genesis. Maybe that's just too cute and we can just have something higher impact. I think that's probably a better place to be. Some Graveyard Hate would be nice. If we want to, we can run some Gaia's Blessing. That is Graveyard Hate that doubles up to protect you against these Mono Blue Storm decks. We would have won the Mono Blue Storm matchups if we had them. So that's something we could think about as like an additional piece of Graveyard Hate as a sideboard card. Alternatively, we could have as a main deck card. I do like the Furnace. It cantrips, which is a big deal. So does the Gaia's Blessing, but this can obviously eat away constantly and is just really useful. And it gives us a turn 1 play when we're leading off on something like a Forest or a Wasteland or a Factory. So I quite like that. Scavenger Folk looked fine today. If we'd have played against the matchups that are more present in the meta, you know, your Green-White Madness deck with their Savannah Lions, or your Goblins deck with their Goblin Lackey, or Phyrexian Dreadnought decks, then this Scavenger Folk is going to look a lot better as well. So I think this is definitely somewhere I want to be. Just having a couple was enough to give us the early plays that we really want. The Yavimaya Elder and Krosan Tusker as card advantage guys made a lot of sense. The Wall of Blossoms was good, but we didn't really have the sideboard mapping for when it was bad to get rid of it, and that's something I would consider. So I think we probably want to strip away some of these things. We did reach for some of them. We would have reached for the Kamahl if it wasn't for the fact that our opponent had this Sarbo's Web. So we ticked up our Powder Keg and immediately drew the Wish where we could have just played the Kamahl. I think we had 10 mana that turn, or was it 11 mana? So I think it was 11 mana, so we would have gone 6 of that, and then we could have blown up 5 of their lands. That would have been pretty good. Maybe that wouldn't have been enough, just blowing up 5 of their lands, because at some point they eventually find the Eternal Dragon, and then we're off to doing that whole nonsense again. So maybe this is just too cute. I did want to get this going at some point, but it didn't happen. The Hailstorms, did we need the Hailstorms? Would I have preferred some more Wing Snares? We're very cold to the Flyers. We could run something like Silklash Spider. Let me just pull it up for you. Here it is. So it's a 2/7 with reach, so it blocks Exalted Angel and Eternal Dragon very easily, and then you can just funnel a bunch of mana into it to kill Flyers. So maybe this belongs in our little sideboard package, and maybe we don't need these Hailstorms. This is why I wanted to play against Goblins, to see if we actually needed the Hailstorms. Like, I think this should be something that is desirable for us to have. But I don't know, we just didn't get to see the matchups we wanted to test everything out. The Orangutan came up a lot. The Cartographer was something I occasionally would have liked to have found. Like, there were definitely matchups where, okay, if we can attack them with Wastelands, the Cartographer is a way that we can get back the Wasteland, and that is actually a viable strategy to try and deal with our opponent. I've got some other Cartographer decks we're going to be playing on the channel because I love this card. Wing Snare is an interesting one. There is another card that does similar things, but it's 4 mana and it destroys all creatures with flying as a sorcery. Maybe that's just better if we're going for this, but I think the 3 mana, the reason I chose it was because we can then hit something like a Hypnotic Spectre with it, and that's like just a nice easy thing we can do. But I think the Silklash Spider might be an option for us moving forward, and maybe the Nantuko Cultivator. There's also a 3 mana 2/2 pro black guy that gets Threshold. I think it's Threshold, where it gets +1/+1 for each black permanent your opponent controls. That is a nice 2 to 3 curve against the black decks, so that's another thing we could consider. I honestly think this deck is pretty solid, and I would quite like to innovate on it, so let's hope this video does well. If you want to see more of this, let me know any suggestions that I've missed, or anything that you think could be improved with the deck. Like, we had some really nice beast attack moments, that was cool. I think we can definitely do a little bit better than this one, though, and if you've got ideas, I am all ears to hear them. And if you want to see this deck more, you have to let me know in the comments. You have to like the video, subscribe to the channel, post. Let me know that you want to see more of this, because otherwise I might just shelve it and not run it back again. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this one. We did a bit of brewing, and I think even though we only went 2-3, it was pretty successful. We lost to like some fringe stuff, but when we actually played against 2 of the actual top decks in the format, like the Terrageddon deck and the Sly deck, which are 2 of the more popular decks out there, it felt really good. And I think we would feel reasonable into the Dreadnought deck. We can obviously adjust our Dreadnought matchup by playing things like Crumble, playing more Naturalizes. There are options we have available to us. Alright, we are done for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this one. I had a great time, and I hope you did too. And if you need to buy any of these cards, you know where to go. 3-to-1 Trading, the link is in the description. They support me and other legacy content creators and pre-modern content creators, so why not give them some love by buying cards from them. Alright, thank you so much, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbodepts, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbodepts guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.